Today, we delve into the tragic saga of the Lamenters, a chapter of the Adeptus Astartes, whose very existence is a testament to unwavering loyalty and the crushing weight of cosmic misfortune. Born from the lineage of the Primarch Sanguinius, they carry the angelic hope of their forefather, but their path has been defined by a constant, almost supernatural, stream of calamity. Their story is not one of glorious triumph, but of endless sacrifice in the face of a universe that seems to have a personal vendetta against them. To understand the Lamenters' plight, we must first look to their origins. They were forged during the infamous 21st Founding, a clandestine and experimental endeavor known to all as the Cursed Founding. While other chapters of this founding, such as the Black Dragons and the Flame Falcons, were plagued by severe genetic mutations or psychic flaws, the Lamenters' gene seed was seemingly perfect. Their curse was far more insidious, a perpetual, soul-crushing bad luck that would follow them to the brink of extinction, time and time again. They were a chapter born under a cursed star, a fate that would make their noble deeds all the more tragic. The most infamous chapter in their saga is their tragic involvement in the Badab War. When the astral claws, under their tyrannical chapter master Luft Huron, declared secession from the Imperium, the Lamenters, in their boundless empathy, sought a diplomatic resolution. They saw the conflict not as a war of heresy, but as a family dispute between brother Astartes, a quarrel they hoped to mend before it could tear the galaxy apart. The Lamenters' chapter master, Malakim Foros, attempted to negotiate with both sides, his every plea a testament to his noble heart. In a desperate act to de-escalate the conflict, he radioed the Loyalist fleet commander, saying, "We do not seek to shed the blood of our kin. The path to resolution is not found on the battlefield, but in understanding. We implore you to stand down and allow us to parley with the forces of Huron." His compassion was viewed as a fatal weakness in the grim darkness of the 41st millennium. The Lamenters' neutrality was seen as complicity, their attempts at mediation as treason. They were caught between the Loyalist forces and the secessionists, and it was in a defensive action against the relentless Minotaurs chapter, infamous for being the High Lord's brutal enforcers, that their fate was sealed. In a vicious engagement, the Minotaurs, under the command of their merciless chapter master, Moloch, attacked the Lamenters with cold ferocity. Malakim Foros, in a final, desperate plea, broadcast a message to his foe. "Why do you attack us, brother? We are loyal to the Emperor. Our only crime is a desire for peace." The only response was a crackle of static, followed by the chilling voice of Moloch himself. "Peace is a lie," the Minotaur bellowed. "There is only the Emperor's justice, and you have been found wanting." In that moment, the Lamenters were declared excommunicate traitoris. A tragic entry from the imperial records on their status reads, "Their noble hearts, once so pure, are now believed to beat with the foul rhythm of treachery." Their punishment was immediate and brutal. They were sentenced to a penitent crusade, a century-long campaign of atonement in the deadliest war zones of the Imperium, a sentence that was little more than a slow, agonizing death. It was a curse wrapped in a punishment, a tragic act of poetic cruelty that would forever define their place in the annals of a galaxy that had no room for their compassion. Their penance led them directly to the Abyssal Crusade, a suicidal expedition into the Eye of Terror, where they were to fight the forces of chaos. The High Lords of Terror had tasked this vast fleet, comprised of numerous Space Marine chapters and Imperial Navy assets, with a campaign of attrition and purging within the warp's most infamous maelstrom. It was a sentence of death, and the Lamenters knew it. Upon entering the Eye of Terror, the fleet was immediately scattered by the roiling tempests of the immaterium. The Lamenters, clinging to the remnants of their fleet, were forced to navigate a labyrinth of madness and horror alone. Their supposed allies, the Stoic and dour Mortifactors chapter, refused to fight alongside the Lamenters, viewing their cursed existence as an ill omen. Their disdain was openly voiced by one of their chaplains, who, upon seeing a Lamenter battle barge, declared, "You carry a plague of misfortune. Your presence offends the spirits of our ancestors, and your ill fortune will not be allowed to taint the purity of our sacred mission. Begone before we are forced to cleanse you ourselves." Abandoned and alone, the Lamenters were thrown into a desperate war of attrition against the full, demonic might of chaos. On the demon-haunted world of Karnash, a small Lamenters force, commanded by Captain Varen, was ambushed by a force of Word-Bearers Chaos Space Marines. The traitors, led by a dark apostle, poured forth from the shattered ruins of a temple, their ranks bolstered by chanting cultists and hulking possessed. As the battle raged, Captain Varen's squad was slowly cut off and surrounded. With his bolt pistol blazing and his chains ward singing, he watched his brothers fall, their desperate pleas for aid unheard. It was here, in the midst of utter despair, that Varen's inner lament was heard by his surviving battle brothers. "I lament the losses of so many," he broadcast on the command channel, his voice filled with a sorrow so profound it cut through the din of battle. "So many heroes and heroines, so many dreams and loves. My only regret is that we have so few to give." The Lamenters fought to the last man, their last stand a defiant, sorrowful testament to their loyalty. Their sacrifice was a final, tragic expression of their chapter's motto: "For those we cherish, we die in glory." For centuries their fate was unknown. They were presumed annihilated, their legacy a cautionary tale. But against all odds, a scattered few, having fought and survived the very heart of chaos, would eventually emerge from the Eye of Terror as ghosts of a chapter, forever changed but unbroken. The tyrannic wars and modern misfortune. The curse of the Lamenters is not confined to the past. It is a constant companion, a ghost haunting their every noble endeavor. In the defense against the encroaching Tyrannid hive fleet Kraken, the Lamenters again found themselves facing a no-win scenario that would push them to the brink of extinction. They were deployed to countless worlds in the path of the hive fleet's advance, their small fleet a solitary beacon against the overwhelming biomass. On the beleaguered agri-world of Karanath, a company of Lamenters, led by the stoic Sergeant Kalen, made their final stand. The skies darkened not with clouds, but with the shadows of biomorphs and winged horrors, and the ground trembled with the footfalls of 1 billion chitinous claws. Despite the insurmountable odds, Kalen's warriors fought with the ferocity of a trapped animal. They had no hope of victory, only of buying precious seconds for the civilian population to evacuate. As swarms of termagants and hormagaunts washed over their position, Kalen broadcast a final message to his remaining brothers. "They come in a numberless tide, and we are but a rock in their ocean. Let our resistance be a testament to what a space marine can be, not in conquest, but in sacrifice, for the Emperor and for the people we die to save." This heroic sacrifice saw the Lamenters' strength reduced to a mere 3 companies, a number so small it was a death sentence in itself. Their valiant stand was a heroic sacrifice, a moment of pure tragic glory that ultimately sealed their fate. They had survived the Badab War and the Eye of Terror, only to be ground to nothing by a mindless swarm. This near-annihilation had a devastating ripple effect. When Hive Fleet Leviathan began its invasion, the Primarch's heir, Commander Dante of the Blood Angels, put out the call to all of his successor chapters. The Lamenters, despite their genetic kinship and their unwavering loyalty, were unable to answer. Their will was absolute, but their numbers were simply too few. In the lore, it is noted that a Blood Angel's representative was dispatched to their beleaguered fleet to assess their readiness. A somber excerpt from a report recounts the exchange. Blood Angel's emissary, we have come to requisition your forces for the defense of our home worlds. Commander Dante requires all who are of the blood to stand against the great devourer. Lamenters captain, brother, you see our fleet. You see our empty armor. We have no forces to give. Our only lament is that we cannot stand with our kin in this final hour. The curse had struck again. Their hearts were with their brothers, but their bodies were too few. Their greatest act of loyalty, to answer the call of their Primarch's heir, was thwarted not by betrayal or heresy, but by a simple lack of numbers, a direct consequence of their unrelenting misfortune. Even with the arrival of the Primaris Marines, a new hope for all of the Imperium's depleted chapters, the Lamenters' luck did not change. Their salvation, a gift from Primarch Robuta Guilliman himself, was twisted by the same insidious curse that has defined their every action. The Lamenters were among the first chapters to be sent a significant contingent of these new, genetically enhanced warriors. A fleet bearing countless new brothers, gleaming war gear, and the promise of a future no longer defined by slow, inevitable decay. The Primaris, under the command of Captain Aetius of the Indomitus Crusade fleet, were a symbol of the Imperium's resurgence. Captain Aetius, a resolute warrior, was reportedly filled with grim optimism as his fleet neared the Lamenters' location. He made a final, confident transmission to the Imperium just before the tragedy struck. The fleet Sanctimonious is in position. Reinforcements and supplies are secure. The sons of Sanguinius will once again stand at full strength. The Emperor's will be done. Then, in a catastrophic and unprecedented event, a sudden, localized warp storm, a maelstrom of raw, chaotic energy, erupted directly in the path of the fleet. It was a storm of such malevolent fury that it defied all astropathic auguries and navigational warnings. As the ships were torn asunder by the raw power of the Immaterium, Captain Aetius's final, horrified transmission was received. The storm! It is a maelstrom of sorrow and grief. It is the lament of the damned. We are lost. The fleet was completely obliterated. Only a single strike cruiser and a handful of Thunderhawks emerged from the warp, their hulls scorched and their Geller fields shattered. A mere fraction of the thousands of Primaris Marines and the invaluable war gear they carried were all that remained. When the Lamenters' chapter master, Malachim-Phoros, received this small, tragic remnant of a great gift, he did not rage. He looked upon the handful of new, unblemished brothers, and the crippled ship that brought them, and his sorrow was profound. It was a familiar, bitter taste of fate. In a poignant moment of reflection, he is said to have looked to the empty blackness of space and murmured, "We are given so much, and yet, in the end, we are left with nothing but our grief. Even in salvation, we find our sorrow, but we shall bear it for the greater good of all." The curse had struck again. Their new strength, a gift from the Lord Commander, was tainted by the same misfortune that has defined their every action, ensuring that even in their greatest moment of hope, they would find only a fractured, incomplete salvation. The story of the Lamenters is not one of victory parades or glorious conquests. It is a grim and somber chronicle of loss, sacrifice, and the enduring power of a noble spirit. Their history is a brutal cycle of loyalty met with tragedy, a chapter betrayed by their allies, hunted by their own imperium, and cursed by a universe that seems to want their utter annihilation. Yet they do not falter. They continue to fight, their battered hearts beating in sync with their unwavering resolve. They have faced the might of the Black Legion, the savage onslaughts of the Orcs, and the all-consuming hunger of the Tyranids. Each battle has reduced their numbers, but it has never broken their will. The Lamenters bear their heart-shaped sigil with pride, a symbol of the profound sorrow they carry for the innocent they are sworn to protect. They have a grim awareness of their lot, but they accept it without question. The Lamenters are a testament to the fact that even in the grim darkness of the 41st millennium, the truest measure of a hero is not how many victories they claim, but how many times they refuse to break, even when fate itself stands against them. The words of their chapter master, Malachim Foros, perhaps best encapsulate their spirit. We know our place, and we shall not break faith. For those we love, we shall die in glory. Their story is a lament, yes, but it is also a powerful testament to the unbreakable will of the human spirit. And that is the tragic, yet inspiring, saga of the Lamenters. Their loyalty knows no bounds, even when the galaxy itself conspires against them. If you've made it this far, you're not just a fan of Warhammer 40,000, you're a true Lorelord. If you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more untold stories from the grim darkness of the far future. Let me know in the comments below. Do you believe the Lamenters are truly cursed, or are they simply the victims of a chaotic galaxy? I want to know what you think.